supporting you in your dog parenting journey. The Dynamic Dog Owner with Debbie Potter.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Dynamic Dog Owner, a podcast designed to support you, the dog parent, in your dog parenting journey. So, as you'll know, we talk about supporting the dog parent because being a dog parent isn't easy. It can be really challenging sometimes, and we're often overlooked, I think. The mindset, the coping mechanisms, the planning, the preparation that humans have to go through to be a successful dog parent, I feel is often overlooked. We talk so much about training the dog, but it's actually us sometimes that need a bit of life coaching, and that's what we're all about here at Podpause. Not just teaching the dog, but helping people on their journey too. So today's episode is a little bit inspired by the fact that it's my dog's time for their annual vaccinations. And I stupidly, a few years ago, got them all to coincide with each other. Great, let's have all the dog vaccinations at the same time. And that was wonderful because I was on a healthy pet club thing at the time. And then I decided that I actually wasn't using the most of the benefits of it because personally I don't feel and worm them. I do natural methods instead. And I do a worm count. That's a topic for another day. So I was like not getting the money for it. I was like, why am I paying for this? They don't have a 6 monthly health check. They don't have the medicine that's included in it. It's actually cheaper for me to just pay for the vaccinations. But of course I'd aligned them all because it wasn't costing me anything. And then suddenly I was like, shit, I've got to pay for 3 lots of vaccinations in the same month, which was very expensive. So I've now eked it out. And they're now on 3 consecutive paychecks. So it's taken me a while. But now we're back to 3 expensive months of the dogs, which always coincides at Christmas as well, which is really bad planning. But anyway, but it made me think about trips to the vet. Now, touch wood, I am super duper lucky. My dogs generally seem to be quite healthy. So I'm touching the table and I'm touching my head. There's a lot of wood there. They haven't been to the vets or needed to go to the vets very often. Which is brilliant. So generally, the only time they tend to go is at their annual vaccination. So it's not a place they're used to going to. It's not a place that they spend a lot of time at. I mean, Dave does more because he's had all his joint issues and love him. And he goes to the hydrotherapist at the vet. So he's used to going to the vet. But I personally have an arrangement. I don't think it's an arrangement. I just tell my vet what I need. So it made me think about other people, and they may not realise actually this is a possibility. So classically, your vet, you turn up, you take your dog into the reception, you tell them you're there, you sit in the waiting room, you go into the consulting room, you come back out through the waiting room, through the car park and into your car. Now, easy, fair play, lovely. Now, personally, that was always fine. I had a lovely, well-behaved dog who was super chill, didn't care about the world, didn't care about people, didn't care about dogs. Easy peasy. Then Dave came along as a puppy. And Dave is a big boy. Generally, he sits at around 41 kilograms, which is he's a big-boned, heavy show lab. You know, he's actually lost a lot. He's not lost a lot of weight, but he looks really good. He's got a nice tummy tuck. And yeah, he looks good. He is a big boy. And as a young dog, he was very, very friendly. He's what we call a frustrated breeder, so he just loves everybody. But he growls, he barks, he just wants to be everyone's best friend. But obviously it can come across as being very intimidating. Taking him to the vet in that very small vet waiting room does not go well. And it was after COVID, actually. It was after? No, I think I did it before COVID. How old is he? How long ago was COVID? COVID was 6 years ago. He's coming up 9. So actually, I think it was before COVID that I started doing this. But it became a norm in COVID for your dog to be treated outside. If you took your dog to the vet during the COVID lockdowns, or afterwards when we were still social distancing, you were treated outside in the car park. It suddenly became the norm, but it quickly, as with everything in the COVID lockdowns, everything went back to normal. But just in my mind, this is just again a thing of you don't have to do that. You don't have to take your dog into the vet. If your dog finds it super stressful, overwhelming, it damages their training, if you're working on stuff, it can be a huge step backwards. You don't have to. I have a family and stay with my vet, but I say, hey, can we treat them in the car park, please? And they come out and they treat my dog in the car park. Game changer right there. Because going to the vet generally is pretty damn stressful. Unless you're going for your annual vaccinations, you're normally going to your dog's not feeling very well, or they've hurt themselves, and putting them in the situation of being in really close proximity with unknown dogs. If you've got a reactive dog, if you've got a frustrated greeter dog, if you've got a really nervous dog, can hinder their progress hugely. Now, all three of my dogs were treated outside for a little period of time. Ren is now good to go inside. Ren is the easiest dog in terms of like being around others because he's so laid back. He's very switched on to training and food, etc. But he can get a little bit overwhelmed by smells, and his overwhelmed and he sees dog's head on, he lays down. But the last year we've made massive progress in we got to a certain point and then we were just waiting for that next bit. We're past that next bit now, and he doesn't lay down when he sees dogs generally anymore. So brilliant. So he goes into the vet, no problem. But the other two don't. And my vet will happily see them outside. So for Dave, the reason being is that he is a very, very big bouncy lab, always has been. He barks in excitement that it seems like reactivity. He's very strong. On a slippery floor, if he's doing that, it's going to hurt his body even more. And he doesn't have a great body as it is. And it's really intimidating for other people and other dogs. I know he's super friendly and he's just going to absolutely love your dog and love you. But if your dog's not very well, they don't want that in their face. And equally, I'm trying to work on him managing those emotions. I don't need him to get that excited. So that's why he gets treated outside. Fred, on the other hand, who is scared of his own shadow, he is terrified of going in the vets. Now, he went in as a puppy, no problem. He was actually a really confident puppy. Adolescence screwed him over, and he became really, really wary and really nervous of the world. And he is quite a timid dog. If something moves, he's like, whoa, the weapon moves. Terrifying. So for him, going through doorways in itself is a massive event. Going into a door where he doesn't know where he's going is really scary. Standing in a small space where there's noises, there's people moving, he's scared, quite simply. And then throwing some dogs into the mix. And he's like, oh my God, I want to say hello to you, but I don't want to say hello to you. You might be scary. It's overwhelmingly terrifying. Snippy floor. He's like, oh, this is weird. For him, it is a complete, fearful, terrified time. Now, I know if the vets were closed to the public and I could just go in and out the door and work on it, he would gain his confidence in going through the door initially, in sitting in the waiting room, in going into the thing. But generally speaking, the vets, you can't do that when the vets are closed because they're closed. And for him, the environment, the sounds, the doorway, the texture of the floor, and then throwing other people and dogs, it's just too much. And he would go into a full meltdown. How on earth can he be treated? Because his state of mind is already completely in the wrong place. It's completely overwhelmed. And he's not going to make good choices. He's not going to be calm enough to be inspected. But simply taking away that, he's building confidence with going to the vet. So he had his vaccinations last week. And simply, we leave him in the car. We go in and we say, hi, he's here for his appointment. Can he be treated outside, please? And they say, yeah, no problem. We'll send the vet out to you. So we wait in the car. Just from the car park, the vet comes out to us. We tell them what we're here for. They say, okay, no problem. They go inside. They get the vaccination and the injection. They get the kennel cough. They come outside and they treat him outside the car. They spend a few times building his confidence up. They do the treatment. Bish, bash, bosh. Done. He feels safe. He's relaxed. He's building a really good positive sort of association with the vet coming at him with needles. That bit doesn't bother him in the slightest because they take a few minutes to be friends with him. They feed him some sausages. He's open. He feels like he can escape. I 1,000% know if that was happening in a consultation room, he would freak out. He would probably really tell them, I don't want this done, thank you. And he's perfectly in his rights to. But he said this is just, obviously there's some things naturally. Obviously I'm talking about like annual vaccinations. We don't have to go in with him especially for anything more. If Dave has to go in for anything else, he can go in, he can do it. I just need a really quiet waiting room so that he doesn't get too excited. But he has been in the vets, he does go in the vets, but generally, unless he needs to, he's treated outside. Because what if I don't need to put him in a stressful situation? Why should I? Why do I have to just because it's the norm? And I think this episode is mainly just you don't need to. If your dog finds it really, really, really stressful, ask the vet to make accommodations for them. Can you please treat them outside? Now, obviously, I know nowadays not all vets are a traditional sort of vet practice. I'm really lucky my vet is independent. I think they're owned by somebody, but they are a independent brand. They're not affiliated to anything. It's a massive, great big car park. It is just a vet on site. So I've got the option, the space to do all of those things. If your vet is within a shop or within a something else or within a complex, obviously it's going to be a little bit harder for this. But then that's where, if your dog really, really struggles with it, you can always know that another vet, a different setup, would be able to offer this service. To make sure that your vet process isn't really stressful. Now, obviously, I know in an ideal world, we say, take your dog to the vet car park, then they're shut, get them confident. That's fine, I can do all that. But that's not the bit that worries them. It's the action going in that's the tricky bit. So that bit I can't practice very often, sadly. But we have options. And this is, again, I suppose, where it comes down to knowing what accommodations are out there and knowing that you can ask for them and advocating for your dog, which sometimes is, we talk about advocating for our dogs. Like if your dog has emotions, if the dog has big emotions, if they are reactive, if they are scared, if they are overexcited, it's really hard, especially if you're a first-time dog owner, to know that you can say, stop, please don't fuss my dog, or to ask someone to give them their space, because we don't have the confidence in ourselves to know that's okay, but it totally is, and we can totally do it with the vets, with people who are seeing and treating our dogs. Hang on a sec, can you just give them a moment? Just stop here, he's not comfortable. But it takes a lot of self-confidence to be able to do that and feel confident in what you are doing. And this is just, again, there are ways out there that you can get access to treatments and vets without having to stress your dog out and adding to it. Perfect example of this is Dave. I always wanted him to see a muscle person, and I never found the right person because they were always very strict on what they wanted. And I was like, but he will not do that. I used to take other dogs to go to massage therapists. They go to places. Rem's had, if you listen to podcast 4, he's had cranial osteopathy. He has chiro. He has it all up him. And he's okay. He tolerates it. He'll do as they're asking. It's not a problem. Dave is really fearful of people touching him. He's like, that's going to hurt. I don't want you to do it. So the classic, please lay on your side while I massage you, is not going to work for him. Absolutely not. So therefore, I didn't take him. And it wasn't until a few years down the line, I found the right person who was like, I will work with him. He wants to do it standing up. That's fine. If he wants to do it for 2 minutes, have a break, that's fine. I don't require him to sit still for an hour whilst I do what I need to do and, be annoyed that he doesn't do it. And that was a game changer because it meant I found someone who would work with him where he was at to enable him to get the treatment he needed. Now it's like his favorite thing in the world. He's like, hello. And what his chiropractor, who's been on the podcast before, listen to her, Jay, quite a few episodes ago, last year now, so long time. But she spent months working with just building up his confidence in being touched, going, hey, it's not going to hurt. And then when he realized actually she makes him feel better, he was like, hey, come on, here I am. And now he bends into it again, come on, do it, please make me feel better. That confidence in her then enabled him to be able to really love going to physio and hydrotherapist, because he's like, hey, you do the same thing, you make me feel good, this is great. But it's finding the right person or the right vet or the right service that will accommodate your dog. And I suppose in a roundabout way, this kind of also links back to training, because obviously I know we talk about the whole world of dogs, but we are obviously a dog training school. It's the same as finding the right trainer. Find the trainer that works for you and your dog, who will make accommodations. We have people say, oh, I was expelled from my last class. Sorry? What? My dog wasn't well behaved enough. Now, to me, that's ludicrous, because this is what we're here for. We're here to help you. Nobody should ever feel like their dog isn't welcome. Now, obviously, as we said before, I'm sure we've done an episode on it before, that my dog's not too naughty for class. Check it out if you haven't listened to it. Obviously, sometimes the space isn't right for your dog to succeed, but we'll have a group that you can go to. We'll have an option to help you. We're not just going to say, we can't help you, go away. We can always help. We can always make progress. And if we're not the right people for you, we'll find someone who is. But we can always make accommodations for people to work at the level the dog in front of us needs. And I think that's just something I suppose I take for granted, and I assume people know. So if you're ever feeling like your dog is a pain, you're a pain, you're just in the wrong crowd, you're just at the wrong place. You need to find the place that accommodates you. But anyway, let's go back to the beginning. This podcast is about knowing that you and your vet, you can request your vet to help you with your reactive dog. It doesn't have to be, oh God, we've got to take them to the vet, how are we going to manage this? Ask your vet what accommodations they can make, whether that be treating them out in the garden, treating them in the car park. Some vets have a rear entrance that you can use to avoid going through the waiting room and into a consulting room that way. I've done that with Dave before. I said, can you just, I think for whatever reason, when he was really ill last year, he had a really, really massive back, I think it was like a trapped nerve. He was in so much pain. I got him into the vet and it was quiet. And afterwards I said, can you just check the waiting room? Is it, because I don't want him getting really excited. And they went, it's quite busy out there. They said, come this way. And they took us out through all the back of the vets. And it's commendations like that if you don't know are there, just ask. Say to your vet, I've got a reactive dog. How can we make this stress-free, please? Ask them what they're prepared to do, because they will be able to make accommodations to make sure that you and your dog have a stress-free, or as minimal stress-free as possible, vet visit. So hopefully that's helpful. If you've got a reactive dog, or if you've got a dog who's a little bit nervous, doesn't like new things, new places, have the confidence to ask your vet, or ask whoever it is you're working with your vet to make accommodations, or who's working with your dog to make accommodations so that you and they can have the best experience possible to boost their confidence rather than hinder it. Have a lovely week. I will catch up with you really soon. And don't forget, as always, like, comment, share the podcast with a friend who might find it useful. Comment. We'd love to hear your comments. And I'll catch up with you very soon. If you love listening to the podcast, why not check out the Potter Academy for practical dog training advice and how-to videos. The hub is broken down into sections, and hundreds of pre-recorded videos are there for you to start watching whenever you choose. You can watch them back as many times as you like. You also get to talk to other community members and discuss your training, and benefit from live Q&As with myself where you can get your questions answered. Why not make use of our 3-day free trial where you can access all of the content on the hub absolutely free for 3 days. The link is in the description below, so do check that out. And I can't wait to see you in the hub.
Thank you for listening to The Dynamic Dog Owner with me, Debbie Potter. See you next time.